guess what?
Hi, uh,
What? I don't know.
I'm Wintermute. This is going to be a 2-minute video for you utterly brain-damaged Zoomers that... Okay, I feel like acceleration is get a bad rap because of its name. Acceleration actually has little to do with worsening contradictions within capitalism, but rather its acceptance that these contradictions will inevitably lead to its replacement. So instead of focusing resources on mitigating like poor conditions under capital, it'd be better to allocate those resources towards creating structures which will survive this replacement, right? And these mitigations will be absorbed anyways, and yeah, it's just not a good use of resources. So this is why we're building propaganda, because we must ensure that our ideology survives replacement, and the only way to do that is with mimetically sticky like rhetoric, right? To get adoption, obviously. So I think a good place to start for how to make good propaganda is actually looking at capital itself. Capital's immune system is very, very good, and I think it's because it understands two things. So to paraphrase a paraphrase of a paraphrase, we overvalue our internal beliefs over our expressed actions, right? So belief exists even if you internally disavow it, right? So if you say, I think murder is bad, and you internally disavow murder, but you shoot someone, well then that belief is still being expressed, that murder is okay because you shoot someone, right? So the key takeaway is that beliefs are not coupled with actions. They can be misaligned, right? And this obviously applies to capital because you can disavow capital but sustain it by participating in exchange. And this is just a performance for like the big other, which Fisher talks about. But yeah, this is a very powerful concept. And the second takeaway is that it's far easier to convince someone to change their methods than it is to change their values. And what do I mean by this? So one could value quality of life, right? Better quality of life for themselves. And instead of telling them, well, your quality of life is just fine as it is, you could tell them, if you amass capital, your quality of life could improve, right? So instead of telling them that their values are bad and they should attempting to replace their values, you just replace the methods that they go about achieving those values. And this can be taken to the extreme, right? Anti-capitalist values are actually absorbed by capital, and in fact, it's vital to capital's functioning that anti-capitalist values are absorbed within capital itself. It just it's just nullified. It's just nullified in action, right? It's not even like the one god universe thing that the CCRU talks about, where it's like an artifact of a deity within a museum, something that's considered without belief and without any hypersectional power, which just means the ability to manifest itself into reality. It's worse than that. It's to be believed without action. Like one can genuinely hold anti-capitalist values, but their actions utterly misalign with that. And this is in capital's case, this is used for inaction, right? So like to prevent action, but I think we can use it to motivate action. So I was just thinking, like the second Avatar movie is so it's such a great piece of propaganda, because I walked out of the theater feeling very good and satisfied about fuck yeah, like nature won, despite no action being performed other than going to watch a movie. So I mean, that's just an actual example of disavowing something, but your actions like may not directly misalign with it, but certainly do misalign with it. So yeah, I think that's it. Another two things I want you to be wary of is social conditions are downstream from economics. So it's better to reform economics than it is to mitigate things at the social level. It achieves the same results. It has better optics, and it's more persistent. Right? It's like you can think about it as like a marketing funnel. The outer edges of the funnel must have no barriers, and instead values are changed slowly as they fall down the funnel. Right? So that is a strategy, and another strategy is just to focus entirely on action. Don't even bother changing their values, and instead just convince them to act in a way which will give an outcome that you want. Right? Yeah. So I guess that's it.